They say the strongest person in the room isn't the loudest. It's not the one shouting, arguing, or forcing others to listen. The strongest person is the one who remains calm, steady, unshaken, even while everything around them falls apart. Imagine walking through life where nothing anyone says can pull you out of your peace. Where no one controls your emotions, no one hijacks your mind, and no situation owns your mood. This isn't some motivational cliche. This is real, trainable power. And once you learn it, your entire existence transforms. Now think for a moment. How many times have you let someone's bad attitude infect your day? How often have you replayed some pointless argument in your head for hours? How much energy have you wasted being frustrated, angry, or anxious over someone else's behavior? You see, it's not the people who disturb your peace. It's your untrained reaction to them. The truth is simple. Peace isn't given, it's built. It isn't what happens around you. It's what you cultivate within you. The power to remain unbothered isn't a gift some people are born with. It's a discipline anyone can build. If you're ready to step into that version of yourself, the version that cannot be moved, that leads life with clarity and calm regardless of what others do, then you're about to learn how to master this mindset, one skill at a time. Let's begin. The first skill you must master is controlling your space. Not just your physical space, but your emotional and mental space. You have to take ownership over what you allow into your mind, into your heart, into your life. Because if you don't claim that space, someone else will. And the moment someone else takes that space, your peace starts leaking. Your patience gets thin. Your emotions get tossed around like a ship in a storm. You lose the ability to choose your response, and instead, you become reactive, defensive, unstable. That's not how you were built to live. Most people think peace comes from the outside, when people respect them, when life goes smoothly, when others behave the way they expect. But peace doesn't live out there. Peace lives inside the decisions you make about what you allow to matter. Someone says something rude? That's their noise. Do you invite it into your mind? Do you replay it all day? Or do you let it bounce off and keep moving forward? The uncomfortable truth is that every time you react without control, you surrender your power. You hand over control of your mind to people who probably aren't even thinking about you anymore. They drop their comment and walk away, but you carry it with you for hours, sometimes for days. You must train yourself to reclaim that power. You must be able to say, "This is my mind. This is my peace. And I refuse to hand it over to anyone." Real strength isn't found in shouting or proving your point. It's found in restraint. It's found in being so centered that no external force can knock you off balance. Every single morning, you get to decide how you will carry yourself through the day. This might seem small, but it's everything. When you wake up and set the tone, "Today, I choose peace. Today, I remain steady no matter what comes my way." You've already taken the first step towards unbreakable control. And yes, you will still be tested. People will still try to shake you. But when you've chosen peace ahead of time, you're prepared. You're already standing on stable ground. But it's not just people that disrupt your peace. Often, it's your own mind, your overthinking, your rumination, your desire to replay every moment that didn't go your way. That internal noise is often louder than anything external. You must stop dragging yesterday into today. The moment you catch yourself revisiting old frustrations, you stop. You breathe. You pull yourself back into the present. You can't find peace looking backward, and you can't move forward while carrying the weight of things you can't change. Protecting your space also means protecting yourself from toxic environments. Some people don't bring peace. They bring drama, conflict, and emotional chaos. And no, you don't owe anyone unlimited access to your mind and your time. Boundaries are not selfish. Boundaries are wisdom. They are the walls that protect your peace from being stolen. You do not have to keep explaining yourself to people who refuse to listen. You do not have to give endless chances to people who repeatedly disrespect your energy. Every time you say yes when you mean no, every time you engage when you should walk away, every time you tolerate behavior that drains you, you teach people how to treat you. You teach them that your peace is up for negotiation. And you must stop negotiating your peace. This includes not only people, but habits. How much of your day is wasted scrolling, complaining, gossiping, engaging in conversations that don't move you forward? You cannot claim peace while feeding the habits that steal it. Real growth happens when you say no. No to unnecessary distractions. No to people who drain you. No to conversations that lead nowhere. No to things that don't build you. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable at first. Yes, you'll feel the pull to go back to what's familiar. But peace doesn't live in comfort zones. Peace lives on the other side of discipline. As you begin to protect your space, people will notice. You will no longer walk into rooms carrying everyone else's burdens. You will no longer participate in arguments that don't matter. You will no longer be baited into defending yourself against nonsense. Some people will misunderstand this change. Let them. They might say you've changed, good. That's the entire point. You cannot become your highest self while dragging the same weight that kept you stuck. So starting today, take back your space. One thought at a time, one conversation at a time, one decision at a time. Before you open your mouth, pause. Before you check your phone, pause. Before you enter a room, pause. Ask yourself, is this worth inviting into my mind? Does this deserve my peace? The more you practice this, the stronger you get. You'll begin thinking more clearly. You'll sleep better. You'll find yourself less angry, less reactive, less disturbed. Because your peace will no longer be up for grabs. That's real strength. The quiet, steady kind that no one can take from you. That's when you become someone others admire, not because you argue the best, but because you don't need to argue at all. You've become unshakable. Some people thrive on conflict. They walk into rooms looking for friction, waiting for the smallest opportunity to pull someone else into their storm. They live off chaos because that's where they feel in control. And if you're not careful, they'll pull you into it too. But here's the truth, they don't control you. Not unless you let them. Every time you encounter someone acting difficult, someone being rude, disrespectful, trying to manipulate you, or simply throwing their negativity your way, you stand at a crossroads. Do you step into their world, or do you rise above it? This is where most people lose control. They allow themselves to be sucked into the drama. The frustration builds. The tension rises. They start defending, reacting, matching the negative energy. And without realizing it, they've surrendered their emotional freedom to someone who was never worth that much power. That's not strength. That's being controlled. If you want to master your emotions, if you want to live free, you must learn to build mental distance, space between their behavior and your response. Mental distance doesn't mean ignoring people. It means choosing not to internalize their nonsense. It means recognizing that someone else's mood has nothing to do with your peace. Their words are not your truth. Their energy is not your responsibility. Most people react instantly. Someone says something irritating, and they respond immediately. No pause. No filter. Just instant emotion. But when you live like that, your emotions own you. And worse, anyone else can control you simply by pressing your buttons. If you want to rise, you must slow that process down. When someone tries to trigger you, take 3 seconds before responding. Just 3 seconds. In that brief pause, you regain control. You create separation between stimulus and response. You choose clarity over impulse. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? 90% of the time, you'll realize it's not. Letting small provocations pass doesn't make you weak, it makes you wise. You're not surrendering. You're refusing to waste energy on things that don't build you. You're preserving your mind for what actually matters. The reality is, many people aren't even aware of the tension they create. They're stuck in their own dysfunction. They complain, criticize, lash out, not because of you, but because they haven't learned to manage themselves. That's their work, not yours. Your work is to hold your center, to stay aligned with your values, to protect your emotional energy so you can stay focused on your own growth. You don't owe everyone a response. You don't owe everyone access to your emotions. Not every comment deserves your reaction. Not every situation deserves your involvement. Because once you react, they've succeeded. They've shifted your state. They've planted their energy inside your mind. And that's what you must stop. This isn't about pretending you don't feel anything. It's about practicing emotional discipline. You feel the tension rise, but you don't let it own you. You don't let it turn into bitterness or rage. You observe it, and you let it pass. The distance you create allows you to think, to evaluate, to stay logical. When your mind isn't clouded by emotion, you see things clearly. You see the manipulation for what it is. You see their dysfunction as separate from your truth. Every day presents dozens of these small tests. You will deal with people who live in victimhood, people who want to drag you into petty fights, people who get pleasure from seeing others flustered. Don't give them that pleasure. When you remain calm in the face of their chaos, you take away their power. You force them to deal with their own mess while you stay grounded. And here's what happens over time. Your inner strength compounds. What used to pull you into conflict no longer touches you. The people who once irritated you lose their grip. The noise fades. You've grown past it. When you build mental distance, you stop reacting like everyone else. You stop being another pawn in their drama. You become untouchable. The room may be full of conflict, but you remain calm, measured, steady. That's true strength. The kind that doesn't need to shout. The kind that's not thrown off by temporary emotions. But this requires awareness. You have to study your own patterns. You must notice when certain people or situations make you lose control. You must become conscious of your triggers. What is it that bothers you? A disrespectful tone? Being interrupted? Feeling misunderstood? Once you identify these triggers, you can prepare for them. You can train your mind to pause when they appear. You create space. And that space is your freedom. Because you're not required to carry other people's negativity. You're not responsible for fixing their attitude. You don't have to match their dysfunction with your own. You're here to rise above. That doesn't mean you avoid problems. It means you face problems with clarity. You deal with conflict when necessary, but you do it from a place of calm strength, not reactive emotion. The more you build this skill, the more you'll notice how others live trapped in constant reaction. They snap easily. They're easily offended. Their minds are consumed with replaying offenses that should have been released long ago. But you won't live like that. Because you've trained yourself to remain calm. You've built mental distance. You've separated their behavior from your peace. That's how you lead your life. With discipline, not emotion. And when someone tries to pull you back into old patterns, you'll simply smile and remind yourself, I don't live there anymore. You've grown. You've built something solid. And nothing they say or do can shake what you've built inside. Anger doesn't arrive all at once. It doesn't appear out of thin air. It builds quietly, steadily. Through a series of thoughts that race through your mind at lightning speed. It starts small, a careless comment, a disrespectful glance, a misunderstanding, a perceived slight. Then your mind takes over. The judgment starts. The assumptions flood in. The defensiveness rises. And before you even realize it, your entire system is hijacked. But here's the truth most people never grasp. It's not the situation that makes you angry. It's what your mind does with it. The real problem is not what happens to you, it's how fast your thoughts escalate. If you don't learn to slow down those racing thoughts, anger will own you. Your emotions will take the wheel. And when emotions take the wheel, good decisions go out the window. If you want real emotional strength, you must train your mind to interrupt that sequence. To catch the thought before it becomes emotion. To pause before the reaction takes control. Because your real power lies in that pause. When you feel your chest tighten, your jaw clench, your breath shorten, that's your signal. That's your body telling you. You're about to lose control. But instead of letting it spill out, you stop. You breathe. You ground yourself? Because the moment you pause, you steal back your power. The reason most people spiral into anger so quickly is because they skip this pause entirely. They let their thoughts outrun their wisdom. They receive a text they don't like, and their mind immediately rushes to defend. They get interrupted, and their ego jumps to conclusions. Someone criticizes them, and the brain starts building a defense case. And just like that, clarity disappears. Logic dissolves. Peace evaporates. Now they're trapped in the storm they created. But the storm can be prevented. It only takes a single second. One breath. One conscious decision not to let your mind race uncontrolled. When you pause, you're not suppressing your emotions, you're guiding them. You're reminding yourself that your peace matters more than your pride. Think about your past. How many times have you let anger control you, only to feel regret moments later? How many words have you spoken in anger that you wish you could take back? How many relationships have suffered because you reacted too fast? That's the price of skipping the pause. Because once anger takes hold, it leaves damage in its wake. Damage you must live with long after the situation has passed. But that damage can be avoided if you slow the fire before it burns. And often, the fire isn't even caused by the actual situation. It's caused by the story you tell yourself about the situation. Someone doesn't reply to your message. Your mind says they're ignoring you. Someone walks past without greeting. You assume they're angry. Someone disagrees with you. You take it as personal rejection. But these are just assumptions. Stories. Fiction your mind invents when you don't slow it down. You must train yourself to challenge those thoughts. Ask yourself, is this true? Do I know the full picture? Is this really worth losing my calm? That questioning slows the mental chain reaction. It interrupts the spiral. It reminds you, not every thought deserves to be believed. Your breath is another tool. Your mind and your breath are deeply connected. When your mind races, your breath speeds up. When you slow your breath, your mind follows. One deep breath can buy you the space you need to choose a better response. And you must become familiar with your own warning signs. Everyone has them: a clenched fist, a stiff jaw, a pounding heart, tightened shoulders. The sooner you recognize them, the sooner you can intervene. When you notice your body shifting, don't ignore it. Don't pretend it's not happening. Acknowledge it. Then act to slow it down. You're not trying to be perfect. You're training yourself to catch it earlier each time. You're building a habit of awareness, not suppression. The goal isn't to never feel anger. The goal is to feel it, and still remain in control of your actions. Because feelings are not commands. They're signals. And you choose what you do with them. You are not your anger. You are not your worst moment. You are not your impulsive reaction. You are the person capable of mastering your mind. One incredibly effective practice is to write your thoughts down. When your head feels flooded with emotion, put your feelings on paper. You'll often find that what felt massive in your head shrinks when written. The act of writing slows the mind. It forces you to organize your thoughts, to see them clearly, to separate emotion from fact. Another strategy: avoid environments that provoke unnecessary reactions. Loud, chaotic, emotionally charged spaces speed up your mind. Be intentional about where you go and who you allow around you. You don't owe access to everyone. You don't owe every conflict your attention. You have the right and the responsibility to protect your peace. Because when your mind is clear, you think better. You move better. You live better. And finally, never forget, you're going to slip sometimes. You're going to lose your cool occasionally. That's not failure. That's training. What matters is that you catch yourself quicker next time. What matters is that you keep practicing. What matters is that you refuse to accept losing control as normal. Every single day gives you another opportunity to strengthen this skill. Every moment of tension is a chance to practice discipline. Every emotional test is a training ground. And the next time you feel that fire rising, you'll hear your stronger self whisper, pause. Breathe. Don't give your peace away. That is how you win. That is how you grow. That is how you rise above. Most people don't lose their peace because of massive events. They lose it piece by piece, minute by minute, hour by hour, not from big explosions, but from constant distractions stealing their attention. It's not the major failures that drain you the most. It's the endless small leaks. Unnecessary arguments, wasted hours, overthinking conversations that should have been let go, worrying about what hasn't even happened yet. That's how your mental bandwidth gets eaten alive. And at the end of the day, you sit there, exhausted. You feel like you've been busy all day, but you haven't moved forward. You've been caught in reaction mode, living on defense, constantly pulled away from what matters. This is why so many people feel drained at the end of their day. Not because they've done too much, but because they've focused on too little that actually matters. You must train your mind to focus. Because where your focus goes, your life follows. And focus is not something you simply have. It's something you build. It's a discipline, not a feeling. You must reclaim it on purpose, every single day. The present moment is where your life happens. Right now. Not in your regrets from yesterday. Not in your fears of tomorrow. Right here, in this breath, is WHE. Your power lives. But most people never truly live in the present. They're mentally stuck, carrying resentment from yesterday's conversations, obsessing over what someone might be thinking, playing imaginary future scenarios that rarely happen. And while they do all that, the present slips through their fingers. You can't control the past. You can't fix yesterday. You can't even predict what's coming tomorrow. But you can choose where you place your energy right now. You control your attitude. You control your effort. You control your standards. You control what you feed your mind today. If you don't take full ownership of where your attention goes, the world will gladly steal it from you. Social media will flood your mind with noise. Other people's problems will fill your thoughts with drama. Unnecessary opinions will cloud your clarity. You don't rise by responding to everything. You rise by protecting your mind from what doesn't deserve your energy. Every single distraction feels harmless at first. A scroll here. A text there. A conversation that spirals into gossip. An argument that didn't need your voice. But these tiny choices compound. The hours pass, and you realize you spent your whole day reacting, and none of it moved your life forward. This is how people waste their potential. Not because they lack talent, but because they never take control of their attention. You must become brutal with your focus. Start every morning by asking yourself one simple question. What is one thing I can do today that will move my life forward? Just one. Not 5. Not a list of endless tasks. One meaningful priority. And once you identify it, protect it. Build your day around that one action. Block distractions. Turn off your phone. Create space. Give that task your full attention. Because focused energy compounds faster than scattered movement. Most people are trying to juggle everything at once, and end up doing nothing well. You must become the person who learns to concentrate your full force on the few things that actually matter. You'll be amazed at how much progress you can make when you give one thing your full focus. You also must stop chasing closure from things that no longer serve you. The argument you keep replaying. The person who wronged you. The situation you still wish had gone differently. Let it go. There is no clarity hiding inside that overthinking. Some doors were meant to close. Some people were meant to leave. Some answers you'll never get. Accept it. Your future doesn't live in the rearview mirror. Your future lives in your next decision. And you must train your mind to stay planted in that truth. You will be tempted daily to drift into distractions, especially emotional ones. People will invite you into arguments that don't serve you. Opinions will try to bait you. The world will offer an endless supply of things to be offended by. Don't take the bait. You have too much to build. You have too much purpose ahead of you. You don't have the time to waste fighting battles that don't grow you. Every time you choose to redirect your focus back to your purpose, you're strengthening your emotional discipline. you're training your mind to serve you, instead of being controlled by everyone else's noise. And once you master this, you'll experience something very few people ever feel: true freedom inside your own head. You'll stop feeling drained at the end of the day. You'll stop carrying the weight of conversations that don't matter. You'll stop living at the mercy of other people's dysfunction. You'll feel lighter. Not because life gets easier, but because you've become stronger. You've trained yourself to stay rooted in what matters. You've learned to ignore distractions without guilt. You've protected your peace by becoming ruthless with your attention. And as your focus sharpens, your results multiply. Your mind clears. Your confidence grows. And you realize, almost everything that used to steal your energy was never worth it. You were simply giving too much attention to things that didn't deserve it. But not anymore. You've built discipline. You've taken control. And now you move through life grounded, not because the world has changed, but because you've trained your mind to stay exactly where it belongs, right here, in the present, focused, clear, unbothered. Peace isn't something you stumble upon. It's not something the world gives you. It's not something you accidentally feel on good days. Peace is a discipline. Peace is a decision. Peace is something you must protect. Because if you don't protect your peace, everything, and everyone, will take it from you. Look around you. People lose their peace every single day, not because of major disasters, but because they never learn how to guard it. They let minor inconveniences turn into full-blown crises. They allow one rude comment to hijack their emotions for hours. They hand over their entire mood to people who don't even care about them. And little by little, their peace gets chipped away. Until there's nothing left but frustration, exhaustion, and resentment. You must learn to defend your peace like it's your most valuable possession, because it is. The quality of your life depends on how well you protect your mind from things that don't deserve access to it. And protecting your peace doesn't mean avoiding reality. It doesn't mean pretending everything's fine. It means becoming ruthless about what you allow into your mind, your conversations, your relationships, your schedule. Every single day, you are exposed to forces that want your attention. People who want to pull you into their drama. Situations that want to pull you into chaos. If you don't have boundaries, you will carry emotions that don't even belong to you. You will react to problems that were never yours to fix. You will absorb stress that was never meant to sit inside you. That's how your peace dissolves, slowly, silently. That's why protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's responsible. You cannot live with clarity if you're constantly dragged into other people's dysfunction. You cannot stay grounded if you keep saying yes when you mean no. You cannot feel strong if you allow everyone to dictate how you feel. Peace begins with honesty. Be honest about what disturbs you. Be honest about what drains you. Be honest about what leaves you exhausted. Because you cannot fix what you refuse to acknowledge. The world will always bring noise. There will always be people who test your patience, bring their chaos, push your buttons. Your job is to decide how close they're allowed to stand. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to your mind. Not every conversation deserves your voice. Not every conflict deserves your participation. Some things you need to walk away from. Some conversations you need to end. Some relationships you need to release. That's not cold. That's clarity. You are not obligated to carry everyone else's emotional baggage. You are not responsible for fixing everyone else's brokenness. You are not here to be a container for everyone's pain. You are here to live with purpose. And purpose requires focus. Focus requires space. And space requires boundaries. You must defend your peace like it's your oxygen, because it is. If you allow your mind to constantly absorb stress, you'll slowly suffocate under the weight of things that were never yours to carry. This is why you must become very selective. Selective with who you talk to. Selective with what you listen to. Selective with what you entertain. Selective with what you absorb. Because your mind is a garden, and you cannot afford to allow weeds to grow unchecked. Even the conversations you engage in must be filtered. Ask yourself, does this conversation bring clarity or confusion? Does this interaction energize me or exhaust me? Does this situation lift me up or pull me down? If it doesn't serve your peace, it doesn't belong. And don't fall into the trap of constantly explaining yourself. You don't owe your peace to anyone who doesn't respect it. If someone consistently misunderstands you, twists your words, or refuses to see your growth, let it go. The more you try to convince the wrong people, the more energy you lose. Your peace doesn't need their permission. Your growth doesn't require their approval. You also must protect your peace from yourself. The way you speak to yourself matters. The guilt you carry, the self-criticism, the shame over mistakes, the endless replays of what went wrong. You've got to stop punishing yourself for every mistake. You're not going to get everything right. You're not going to be strong every day. That's not weakness, that's being human. Growth doesn't come from self-attack. Growth comes from learning, adjusting, and moving forward without shame. That's how you build internal freedom. Because peace isn't about perfection. It's about progress. And when you commit to protecting your peace, you're going to disappoint some people. That's okay. The people who benefited from your chaos won't applaud your boundaries. The people who used your availability won't celebrate your clarity. Let them go. Their comfort is not your responsibility. Peace is personal. Peace is private. Peace is earned. You cannot live fully if your mind is constantly under attack. You cannot serve others well if you're always running on empty. When you protect your peace, you protect your future. You protect your ability to think clearly, make decisions wisely, and show up powerfully. You're not here to be available 24/7. You're not here to be everyone's emotional dumping ground. You're not here to lose yourself keeping everyone else comfortable. You are here to live with purpose. And purpose demands peace. So take a deep look at your life. What conversations leave you drained? What people leave you uncertain? What habits leave you exhausted? These are not minor annoyances. These are signals. Warnings. Red flags. You must respond to them. Clean your mental space. Clear your schedule. Let go of what doesn't serve you. Say no without guilt. Say yes to what restores you. Because the longer you live in reaction, the harder peace becomes. But the moment you begin protecting it, everything shifts. Your mind becomes lighter. Your clarity returns. Your energy rises. You stop running from stress and start building unshakable strength. Every time you protect your peace, you reinforce a simple but powerful truth. You are not here to survive chaos. You are here to build calm. On purpose. Every single day. You want to know the real truth? Most people don't lose control because of major life events. They lose control because of small, insignificant moments that they allowed to grow into something bigger than they ever should have been. A comment. A delay. A misunderstanding. A minor inconvenience. Something that should have passed in seconds becomes fuel for hours, even days, of frustration. Why? Because they handed over their attention to it. They fed the fire. Every time you fixate on a small annoyance, you pour energy into something that should have died the moment it arrived. This is how people destroy their own peace, not because the world is falling apart, but because they never learn to control what gets their energy. You need to master one skill, the skill of emotional filtering. Not everything that touches you deserves your reaction. Not every moment requires your opinion. Not every situation demands your involvement. You must train yourself to ask one simple question the second something tries to disturb you. Is this worth it? Not tomorrow. Not later. Ask it immediately, before your reaction gets out of your control. Is this worth my time? Is this worth my peace? Is this worth me sacrificing my energy? If the answer is no, and 90% of the time it is, you let it go. Immediately. Fully. Permanently. You see, most people live in constant exhaustion not because life is overwhelming, but because their minds are overwhelmed by things they should have let pass. They hold on to the small stuff, and the small stuff compounds. A comment you could have ignored becomes an argument. An argument turns into resentment. Resentment poisons your mood. And your mood poisons your entire day. One minor frustration multiplies into 100 silent burdens you now carry everywhere you go. You don't have to live like that. You have to become stronger than your triggers. You have to start recognizing when your mind is building a story that doesn't serve you. A look from someone doesn't mean they hate you. A delayed reply doesn't mean you've been rejected. A harsh tone doesn't automatically mean someone's out to attack you. But if you allow your mind to run wild, every small thing becomes personal. Every minor inconvenience becomes heavy. And before you know it, you're emotionally exhausted over things that never deserved a moment of your peace. You need to create space between what happens and how you respond. That space, that small gap, is where maturity lives. It's where power lives. It's where peace is preserved. You cannot stop every situation from happening, but you can always control how close you allow it to get. You don't need to argue with every person who annoys you. You don't need to explain yourself to people who don't want to understand. You don't need to prove your point in every disagreement. The strongest move you can make is to let go, early. Before your mind spirals. Before your emotions take over. Before you create a war out of a bump in the road. Sometimes, silence is the most powerful response. Sometimes, walking away is not weakness, it's mastery. Sometimes, saying nothing protects everything you've worked to build inside you. Because here's the hard truth, not everything that upsets you is even about you. Many people who lash out are carrying their own pain. They're projecting their frustration onto you. Their comments aren't a reflection of your worth. They're a reflection of their brokenness. Don't pick up what doesn't belong to you. You don't need to carry the weight of someone else's dysfunction. The moment you stop personalizing everything is the moment you begin freeing yourself. You need to start filtering your attention like it's gold. Because it is. What you focus on shapes how you feel. And what you feel shapes how you live. You've wasted enough time getting upset about things that never mattered in the long run. The arguments you replayed. The offenses you carried. The energy you gave to nonsense. It's all time you'll never get back. But you can stop the cycle now. You can train your mind to let things slide. To let people be who they are. To let the world be what it is, without making it your responsibility to fix everything. This doesn't mean you're blind. It means you're focused. You're not avoiding reality. You're choosing to rise above it. You're choosing your peace over your pride. You're choosing your growth over your reactions. You're choosing your future over your impulses. And every time you practice this, every time you let something small go, you grow stronger. You build emotional muscle. You develop unshakable calm. You feel lighter. Your relationships improve. Your days feel clearer. Your mind becomes sharper. Because you're no longer weighed down by things that never belonged to you. This is how you elevate. This is how you move through life with strength, grace, and control. Let others fight over the small things. Let others react emotionally. You stay steady. You stay focused. You stay calm. Because you've learned the truth most people never realize. Almost everything that used to bother you was never worth your peace in the first place. There's a posture you must carry every single day. A way you walk into every room. A way you hold your own energy. A way you protect your own identity. It's called self-respect. Not the loud kind. Not the ego-driven, insecure, attention-seeking kind. I'm talking about quiet, unshakable self-respect. The kind that doesn't scream for validation, because it doesn't need any. You carry yourself differently when you understand your worth. You stop begging for attention. You stop explaining yourself to people who aren't listening. You stop bending over backwards for people who wouldn't even lift a finger for you. You stop shrinking yourself just to fit inside rooms where you no longer belong. Because you finally realize, you don't owe everyone access to you. You don't have to apologize for protecting your time, your energy, your peace. You don't have to seek permission to prioritize yourself. You simply walk with a new posture. I know who I am. I know what I bring. And I refuse to shrink for anyone's comfort. That posture changes how you think. It changes how people respond to you. It changes the entire atmosphere around you. Because people can feel self-respect. You don't need to announce it. It radiates silently. When you carry self-respect, you become selective. Selective with your conversations. Selective with your time. Selective with who gets access to your energy. You no longer say yes out of guilt. You no longer say no out of fear. You make decisions based on your values, not your insecurities. You understand that kindness and self-respect can coexist. Being kind doesn't mean being used. Helping others doesn't mean shrinking yourself. Giving doesn't mean sacrificing your boundaries. In fact, real kindness requires self-respect. Because without it, your giving comes from emptiness, not overflow. Every time you compromise your own boundaries just to keep others comfortable, you chip away at your strength. You confuse sacrificing yourself for being generous. You confuse people-pleasing for loyalty. You confuse being agreeable for being strong. And you wake up one day wondering why you feel disconnected from yourself. That's the cost of self-betrayal. And here's the truth most won't say out loud. The world will absolutely drain you dry if you let it. People will take as much as you allow them to take. If you don't protect your own energy, nobody else will do it for you. You train people how to treat you by what you tolerate. You teach them through your silence. You teach them through your boundaries. You teach them by what you stop engaging with. Every time you stay silent to keep the peace when you should have spoken up, you reinforce disrespect. Every time you agree just to avoid conflict, you reinforce your own invisibility. Every time you stay when you should walk away, you lower your own standard. But when you finally stand up for yourself, not with aggression, but with clarity, you shift everything. You show people what you will and will not accept. You protect your own peace, and that sets the standard for every relationship you'll have. And yes, when you raise your standards, some people will leave. Let them. Some people will call you selfish. Let them. Some people will get uncomfortable with your growth. Let them. You're not responsible for managing other people's discomfort. You're responsible for protecting your own alignment. Because at the end of the day, you're the one who lives with the consequences of your choices. Not them. You have a limited number of days left on this planet. You can't afford to spend them explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You can't afford to pour your energy into relationships that pull you backwards. You can't afford to keep compromising your own growth just to keep someone else comfortable. Your energy is a privilege, not a public resource. The right people, the ones who truly respect you, will honor your boundaries. They won't guilt you for having standards. They won't shame you for protecting your peace. They'll see your discipline and rise with you. Because people who value themselves are drawn to others who value themselves. That's how powerful self-respect is. It doesn't just change you, it changes your entire circle. You stop attracting dysfunction. You stop tolerating inconsistency. You stop negotiating with people who bring nothing but confusion. And you start building a life with people who bring stability, clarity, and mutual growth. Because self-respect is magnetic. It draws quality. It draws alignment. It draws peace. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable at first. You'll feel guilty when you start saying no. You'll second-guess yourself when you set boundaries. You'll wonder if you're being too harsh. That's normal. That's part of unlearning the habit of shrinking. But as you stay consistent, as you keep choosing alignment over comfort, your guilt will be replaced by clarity. You'll feel lighter. You'll sleep better. You'll finally feel like you're living your own life, not one that others scripted for you. And here's what happens next. You stop begging. You stop chasing. You stop trying to prove. You stop over-explaining. You stop performing. You just exist in your truth. And that's when you become dangerous, in the best way possible. Because when you no longer need anyone's approval to feel whole, you become untouchable. That's self-respect. That's freedom. That's your power. You'll face this test again and again. Someone will try to pull you into their storm. Someone will deliberately push your buttons. Someone will bait you, waiting to see if they can make you break. And most people fall for it. Not because they're weak, but because they haven't mastered one skill, the ability to shift their focus. Instantly. Understand this clearly. Annoyance isn't born. It's fed. Someone throws a spark, you feed it with attention, you fuel it with your reaction, and suddenly, a spark becomes a fire. What started as a harmless comment, a minor misunderstanding, a glance, a tone, a text message, is now eating up your mental space, your mood, your day. And it all started because you gave it focus. Focus is fuel. Where your focus goes, your emotions follow. If you focus on what they said, you feel attacked. If you focus on their tone, you feel disrespected. If you focus on their attitude, you feel irritated. But if you can shift your focus back to your own peace, your growth, your discipline, you steal the oxygen from their fire. The annoyance dies where it began. Here's the part most people miss. People who try to provoke you aren't searching for truth. They're not after understanding. They don't care about resolution. They just want your reaction. Why? Because controlling your reaction gives them power. But when you refuse to react, when you remain calm and focused, you frustrate the person who came looking for control. They lose interest. They lose influence. They lose access. And you keep your power. You must train your mind to move away from the bait before it hooks you. Before you respond. Before you explain. Before you defend yourself unnecessarily. Because every moment you spend defending yourself against foolishness is a moment stolen from your purpose. You have too much to build. Too much to create. Too much potential to waste. You can't afford to let someone's immaturity hijack your energy. Every test begins the same way, a trigger. A sharp word. An unfair accusation. A disrespectful act. Your body feels it first, heart rate elevates. Jaw clenches. Muscles tighten. Mind sharpens, preparing to defend. That's when you intervene. That's when you practice the habit that few ever master, the pause. You breathe. You step back internally. You hear your own inner voice say, I see what this is. I'm not playing this game. In that instant, you reclaim the steering wheel from your emotions. Because if you don't, the emotion takes over. And emotions, when unmanaged, rarely lead you where you want to go. You have to stop giving every comment the privilege of your attention. You have to stop entertaining people who bring no value to your peace. You have to stop confusing defensiveness with strength. Silence is often the most dominant position you can take. Because silence isn't surrender, it's discipline. It says, you don't control me. You don't get to dictate my mood. You don't earn my reaction. The people who bait you aren't trying to learn. They're trying to pull you into their dysfunction. The moment you respond on their terms, you lose positioning. But when you stay still, when you remain emotionally centered, their tactics collapse. Because the game only works if you play. And you don't play anymore. There's a deeper benefit here, one most never realize. Every time you choose not to react, you train your nervous system to relax. Your tolerance for nonsense grows. Your mind becomes harder to hijack. You feel stronger, lighter, freer. Because you're no longer enslaved to every impulse. And freedom from impulse is the rarest form of power. Discipline is freedom. But understand, this isn't about pretending problems don't exist. You're not avoiding conflict because you're weak. You're choosing which conflicts deserve your engagement. Not every battle deserves your sword. Not every hill is worth dying on. The most powerful people are not the ones who fight every battle. They're the ones who masterfully choose which ones matter. And here's another truth. The more you train this skill, the more you realize how often people's attacks have nothing to do with you. Their tone? A reflection of their own bad day. Their disrespect? a projection of their own self-loathing. Their need to challenge you? A desperate grasp for control they don't have in their own lives. Once you see it for what it is, you stop taking it personally. You stop personalizing dysfunction. They don't deserve to live in your head. They don't deserve to rent space in your peace. You leave their storm and stay in your own calm. That's the shift. That's how you reclaim your life from petty, draining nonsense. Shift your focus, early and often. The quicker you shift, the faster you win. Every test is an opportunity to strengthen the habit. Breathe. Step back. Refocus. Move forward. You're not here to argue. You're not here to prove anything. You're here to build, to create, to grow, to master yourself. Because in the end, your greatest enemy was never them. It was always your own reaction. And when you master your reaction, you become untouchable. Your mindset is your fortress, your defense, your anchor, your power. It is not built during easy days. It is not shaped by compliments, comfort, or calm waters. It is forged in fire, in pressure, in setbacks, in the moments where life tests your ability to stay steady. Because when life hits, you have two choices. Either you control your mind, or your mind controls you. The difference between people who collapse and people who rise isn't luck. It's mental conditioning. A weak mindset falls apart at the first sign of discomfort. One disagreement, one rejection, one failure. And they spiral. I'm not good enough. I knew this wouldn't work. Why even bother? But a strong mind? A strong mind sees resistance as part of the process. It expects difficulty. It's built for it. Because the person with a strong mind doesn't rely on motivation. They rely on discipline. They show up on hard days. They execute when the emotions say, stop. They get back up every time they fall. That is strength. It is not glamorous. It is not always visible. But it is real. Understand something. Mental strength isn't something you magically wake up with. It is earned. You build it through choices. Daily, deliberate choices. Every time you show up when you don't feel like it. Every time you stay calm when provoked. Every time you keep your word when nobody is watching. Every time you choose discipline over comfort. You build it by feeding your mind the right fuel. Most people spend their entire lives poisoning their own minds without even realizing it. They feed themselves with gossip, comparison, fear, drama, excuses, self-pity. And then wonder why their confidence is weak, why their anxiety grows, why nothing feels stable. You must break that pattern. What you consume is what you become. Feed your mind truth, discipline, accountability, growth, clarity, self-respect. You must be extremely selective about the voices you allow inside your head, including your own. Because your internal dialogue shapes your identity. You are either building yourself up or breaking yourself down with every thought. If your thoughts constantly tell you, I can't handle this, your mind will obey. If your thoughts shift to, I've handled worse, I'll adapt, your mind strengthens. Your inner voice must become your coach, not your critic. Self-talk is not a motivational quote. It's mental survival. It's mental training. It's you programming your own brain to handle whatever comes. And here's a truth most people ignore. You strengthen your mind every time you follow through. The more promises you keep to yourself, the more trust you build internally. When you say you'll wake up early, and you do, strength grows. When you say you'll finish that project, and you finish, strength grows. When you face your fear and act anyway, strength grows. You don't need anyone's applause. Your consistency is your confidence. Weak people wait for motivation. Strong people act despite their emotions. They do what must be done, regardless of how they feel. That's how you separate yourself. Because life will never stop presenting you with reasons to quit. You'll face delays, doubters, unexpected problems, people who disappoint you, days when progress feels invisible. And in those moments, most people break. Not because they can't succeed, but because their mindset was never trained for long-term discipline. Your job is to make that decision now. No matter how long it takes, I won't quit. No matter how uncomfortable it gets, I stay steady. No matter who doubts me, I stay focused. That posture alone changes how you approach life. You stop needing every outcome to validate you. You stop needing constant reassurance. You stop letting fear guide your decisions. You replace fear with preparation. Because your confidence isn't built on hype, it's built on repetition. You've faced storms before. You've endured disappointment. You've taken hits and kept walking. That's proof. And that proof fuels you forward. But there's more. Your environment matters. The people around you are either reinforcing your mental strength or slowly eroding it. Spend too much time around victims, complainers, excuse makers, people who quit easily, and you will slowly start to adopt their patterns. You must protect your circle with the same discipline you protect your mind. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, speak truth to you, model consistency, live with standards, hold themselves accountable. Not perfect people, but growth-driven people. Because when you surround yourself with discipline, you naturally elevate your own discipline. You no longer feel out of place being focused. You no longer feel strange having boundaries. You no longer feel guilty for staying locked in. You normalize growth. And that becomes your environment. The truth is simple. Weak minds don't need strong people to fix them. They need to develop the discipline to strengthen themselves. And you're doing exactly that. You've come too far to keep breaking over the same lessons. You've survived things you once thought would destroy you. Now it's time to stop simply surviving and start solidifying. Because when your mind becomes your strongest muscle, nothing outside of you can break you. Rejection can't break you. Failure can't break you. Other people's opinions can't break you. Temporary setbacks can't break you. Because you don't build your life around comfort anymore. You build it on standards. And that's why you cannot be moved. There's one final level. And this is where most people fail. Because even after building strength, even after learning discipline, even after training focus, there's one test that never stops showing up, the test of emotional traps. People will still try to pull you in. They'll still test your reactions. They'll still expect you to lose your temper. They'll still bait you with words, with tone, with passive aggression, just to see if they can make you break. But you are no longer who you used to be. You've done the work. You've built the distance. You've slowed your reactions. You've trained your mind to lead, not follow. Now comes the mastery move. You stay calm even when they expect you to snap. You don't give them the performance they want. You don't give them the drama they crave. You don't give them access to your emotions. Because every time you snap, you lose. You lose your clarity. You lose your power. You lose the self-control you've worked so hard to build. Calm is control. And control is freedom. You are no longer controlled by circumstances. You are no longer controlled by someone else's dysfunction. You are no longer controlled by emotional games. You control your response. That is ultimate strength. When someone expects you to break, and you stay grounded, that's power. When someone expects you to fight, and you stay poised, that's mastery. When someone expects you to chase validation, and you stay centered, that's leadership. Because let's be clear, the people trying to pull you into conflict? They are not looking for solutions. They are looking for submission. They want to see if they can control your mood. If they can make you argue, explain, defend, react. But your calm denies them access. They lose interest when they lose control over your peace. You win, not by engaging, but by not needing to. You've grown past the need to defend every point. You've grown past the need to correct every lie. You've grown past the need to correct every misunderstanding. Because you finally understand, not every battle is yours. You do not need to participate in every fight you're invited to. You do not need to explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You do not need to lower your standards just to prove you have them. Sometimes the most powerful statement is silence. Sometimes the strongest move is no move. Restraint is power. Stillness is power. Non-reaction is power. And now you are mastering that. Because you no longer respond to their expectations. You respond to your own values. Your priority is no longer to win petty arguments. Your priority is to protect your peace. Your priority is no longer to prove yourself. Your priority is to remain unshaken. Your priority is no longer to fix everyone else. Your priority is to grow yourself. That's why you no longer explode. Because you finally realize, my peace is worth more than their reaction. My focus is worth more than temporary emotion. My future is worth more than winning small fights. Every time you act calm under pressure, you reinforce this muscle. Every time you hold your peace, you strengthen your identity. Every time you refuse to let someone else control your mood, you reclaim another inch of your life. And this becomes your new standard. You do not chase people. You do not explain yourself unnecessarily. You do not allow people to rent space in your head. You do not participate in childish emotional games. You do not break your standards for anyone. Because your growth costs too much to give away cheap. Your discipline costs too much to let it crumble. Your self-respect costs too much to trade it for temporary drama. From now on, this is how you live: clear, calm, grounded, untouchable. They will still test you. They will still try. But their tests no longer move you. You've become solid. You've become stable. You've become the person who cannot be shaken. And when you live like that, everything changes. Your relationships elevate. Your leadership sharpens. Your reputation strengthens. Your mind stays light. Your energy remains pure. Your life moves forward faster. Because you are no longer derailed by the small. You rise above what once trapped you. Because now, you fully understand. Calm is not weakness. Calm is mastery. Control is not silence. Control is wisdom. Peace is not passivity. Peace is power. This is how you lead yourself. This is how you master your emotions. This is how you protect your future. You no longer live on edge. You no longer lose hours to arguments. You no longer bleed energy into nonsense. You stay locked into your values. You stay focused on your mission. You stay strong in your mind, because your mind is now your greatest ally. This is not temporary hype. This is permanent discipline. This is emotional strength. This is mental leadership. This is how you become unshakable.